Welcome back. This segment brought to you by Daniel Hood Roofing. Top-rated roofers and a worry-free warranty. Can't beat that, folks. I've known Daniel Hood for a long, long time. He spends a lot of time worrying about how he can do a better job for his customers and his clients. The guy wants to put good roofs on your home. That's his whole idea. DanielHoodRoofing.com to learn more. All right. There are 6 teams still alive in the East bracket. You've seen FAU and FDU, but I want you to see how Tennessee stacks up against the other 4 teams that they could play any of these 4 in the Elite 8 round if they get by the next game. So let's go ahead and take a look at these 4 teams very quickly. For those of my guys here at the desk, we're trying to read this little monitor. We're all squinting. Kentucky, 22-11, Kansas State 24-9, Michigan State 20-12, Marquette 29-6. But here's the thing: in terms of their net ranking, it's all similar. 26, 24, 33, Marquette's 12. In terms of the Ken Pomeroy ranking, 24, 23, 29, Marquette's 10. But what you'll notice is these teams lean one direction or the other. Kentucky, 15th in offense, 60th in defense, although they beat you twice. Kansas State, 49th on offense, 19th in defense. Michigan State, they're top 40 offense and top 40 defense. There's a reason Tom Izzo's been to 8 Final Fours, including one that he got past Tennessee in your Elite 8 game. And then Marquette, 6 on offense. If you're sitting there thinking bad matchups for Tennessee, teams like Missouri and Auburn that can put it on you, yeah, that's Marquette. All right, so let's take a look at some charts. What you got here? All right, you can kind of look by the school logo. These are different areas, and I'll read them to you so you don't have to get in there with your magnifying glass. But look at the upper left. That is assists per game. Just show you how Tennessee compares to these teams. Assists per game, Marquette, Kansas State, and Tennessee far better than anybody else. All right. Upper middle, bench points per game. FAU with a ton. More bench points for FAU. Upper right, that's fast break field goals made per game. Marquette lives by the fast break. They are way up there. You're going to see they're way up there in just about all of these categories, except for the next one, naturally. Lower left, offensive rebounds per game. Kentucky and Tennessee are up at the top. Nobody else really close to them in terms of offensive rebounds per game. Lower middle, that's pace of play. Tom Izzo, Rick Barnes, and John Calipari are the plotters, the mudders. Kansas State and Marquette way up there on the fast end of the spectrum. And then lower right, paint points, Marquette and Kansas State. And Marquette gets a lot of these fast break points. So a lot of that's dunks and layups that account for that. Now let's flip it to team comparison number 2. All right, here you go. Upper left, what you got is points off turnovers per game. That's Tennessee, ironically, Fairleigh Dickinson, and Marquette is number 1. Marquette's number 1 in points off turnovers. Upper middle, that's points per game. Again, Marquette and FAU score a lot of points. Those are your top scorers. Tennessee and Michigan State down there at the bottom. Michigan State's at the bottom of most of these. Upper right, that's defensive rating. Lower the better. Tennessee, the lowest. Next lowest, next best defense, Florida Atlantic in terms of that defensive efficiency rating. So they're scary. They're legit. You see they're up there at the top end on all of these things. Then you go to the next one, that'd be the lower left. That's offensive rating, offensive efficiency. Marquette, FAU, up at the top, then Kentucky, and then it drops down to Tennessee and all the others. The lower middle, that's 2-point field goal percentage. Marquette number 1, FAU number 2. And then lower right is your 3-point field goal percentage. The one area where Michigan State leads something, they're way up number 1 in terms of 3-point percentage. Number 2, again, FAU. Not sure if that convinces everybody that they're legit, but that's a breakdown. So I ask you guys, if you get past FAU and FDU, or whichever you play, who would you want? Marquette is the highest seeded. Then you've got Kentucky, Kansas State's the 3 seeds. They're the next highest seed. Then you got Kentucky. Then you got Michigan State. Michigan State could give you revenge for that Elite 8 game you lost, but you'd also be going against one of the best coaches ever in NCAA tournament play. Would you want Kentucky for a 3rd time? I asked Mark Pankratz. He said he would rather have Kentucky than Michigan State or Marquette, which I thought was interesting because I wouldn't want no part of Kentucky.
That's kind of the way
I'm the opposite.
Okay.
Yeah, well, again, what does Pankratz know?
Yeah, that's right.
Like he's ever coached.
Partying. Yeah.
So who do you want?
I want Michigan State.
Right. You take the coach out of it, it's the team. I mean, the Michigan State, you look at, I wrote it down, John, Marquette's like 1st or 2nd in like 6 or 7 of those categories.
It's Marquette and FAU
Time after time after time. talent-wise, and I think it would be a good matchup, and I think both teams could get down in the mud. Tennessee, I think, would beat Michigan State easier than, and what is it, Kansas State and Kentucky play today, right? So one of those is going to be.
Yeah, all the teams in the East
Right,
play today.
all the teams, and so some of these are going to be whittled down, just by,
Well, obviously, yeah.
yeah. Well,
I've seen
They're not going to play all 6 of those teams.
I've seen Michigan State play a few times. I'd like Tennessee against Michigan State. They scrimmaged them at the beginning of the year and whipped them. They won't tell us the final score, but they whipped them at that point. I think Tennessee would be confident against Michigan State, and I think they would beat them. So that's the one, if I had to choose, that would be the team I would want to play if I'm Tennessee.
Izzo scares me to death.
Yep.
He's a terrific coach,
It'd
but
scare me more if he had Magic Johnson.
he's been to 7 other Final Fours. Actually, he had Judd Heathcote, but yeah, go ahead.
The obvious disclaimer is whoever comes out of that group, you can see they're already really good. They're going to be very confident too, much like Tennessee's going to have a lot more confidence now. So it's going to be tough no matter who it is. I think Kansas State, though, is the one on paper to me I would want to play them if I'm Tennessee. I think Kentucky has a really good chance of beating them today, but if they survive, I wouldn't. I'm like you. I wouldn't want Marquette or Michigan State. I think Kansas State looks like a good team, but a beatable one for Tennessee the way they play.
Okay.
I'm with Jimmy. I'd go Michigan State. I think Tennessee's style matches up better with Michigan State than the other styles.
Now let
you
me
can
give
pull out of it.
let me give you the flip side of that, though. All right, you want to get the other team to play at your pace. I mean, that's what Tennessee talked about with Duke. All right, if you're playing Michigan State, is it really a bonus
They
for
already
Tennessee
play
if
at
they're
your
comfortable
pace.
playing that way?
Got 'em in the
would
mud.
or would you rather take an
And they
FAU or a Marquette that's 100 miles an hour and frustrate them by slowing them down?
And they shoot threes well. Michigan State
Yeah.
does. So
Yeah, they're tops in threes.
Yep.
So I think Kansas State may be the call, and that's if you look at ESPN before the season, before the tournament, they ranked every team by 5 stars or 4 stars. And the 5 stars are teams they thought they've shown all year they could get on a roll and win this thing. Kansas State is a 5-star. Marquette is a 5-star. So Kansas State's good, but I think if it fell the right way, I would want that one over the others. I'm with you.
I was going to say,
But-
when you look at the region with the seeds that are left, it looks like a pretty manageable path for Tennessee. But when you look at the numbers and who is actually left, it's a dangerous region
Yeah.
who is still out there for Tennessee.
And K-State's best player is Keontae Johnson, the Florida.
Yeah, transfer.
but the least I want to play right now, I think, would be Marquette, to tell you the truth. I mean, I think they earned
Makes
that
sense.
number
High
2
seed,
seed every step of the way.
They were picked for 9th in the Big East and won the thing because they had 4 new guys coming in, transfers. That would be Rick Barnes versus Shaka Smart, who replaced
yeah.
that's who Texas fired Rick Barnes so they could get Shaka Smart. So there'd be a little something there. Tennessee would have the revenge thing with Michigan State off the Elite Eight a few years ago. So and then of course there's Calipari Barnes. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in the same year, et cetera, et cetera. It's interesting. None of them will be easy. None of them will be easy, including probably your next game. All right. When we come back, storylines, how the SEC's performing, why are there more Cinderellas these days, and there are, we'll show you. Much more to come, including how far is Tennessee going to go. We'll get to that too. Come on back on the Sports Source.